Welcome to another video from Dr. Lock. What we have on the bench and we're going to do a rekey on is two old Yale rim lock locks, and these are the cylinders here. Now you might have seen these before. A lot of people will know that if you try and pick it, you're going to find they've actually got spool pins in. Now these are 20-30 year old locks, and they actually used spool pins back in the day, and along with that keyway made it a bit of a challenge a lot of the time to actually pick these open. So me and probably a lot of other people have drilled these out along the way, and a lot of the time we got lucky as well and we were able to pick them. They're completely pickable, but they're a little bit more challenging, especially compared to what else was on the market around that era. Alright, so there's two of them here and we're going to be doing a rekey. So I'm going to flip it over, and as you can see there's 30 years of grease in that. Look at that. I've got green grease, Vaseline, everything. So I'm not really looking forward to what's going to be on my hands after this process, but unfortunately we have to do it, and let's get into it. So first things, you want to look for a few little things here before you start. Look to see that these springs here are not broken, this slide is not broken, this spring here is not broken, and as long as nothing's really broken, then we should be okay to redo this. Now there's two different types here, if you can see. Slight difference there in the mechanism and slight difference there in the bolt, but they're both pretty much the same sort of thing. We have the keys from the customer, so that will speed up the process. If you are doing a CC on one of these, or a change combo if you want to call it, or a repin, yeah, always get the keys off the customer. It definitely speeds stuff up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start by just removing some of these two springs here, just backing them off. So that's the first one for the dead latch. I've backed that off, and now we've got the main one for the actual latch. So I'm just going to take that up. Oh, to get these off the door too before we start, it looks like that when it's on the door. There's two screws on the side, and once it's on the door, all you need to do is just pull the case away from the side that has the latch and give a little push that way, and it will come off. There's a lunk, a guiding lunk at the back. When you want to put it back on the door, you simply line up that guiding lunk and then snap it back down, put the two screws in, and you're good to go. With the cylinder, once you get this off, pretty straightforward. Two flat blades get the cylinder off. That shows how old this lock is because it's actually done with flat blades. Alright, so let's get this out. Let's get grease on our hands. Alright, so there's the latch and the dead latch part. We're just going to pop that over there. Now, there is a lot of grease on here, and I hope you can see it, but there's actually a circlip right about here. I'm moving it now. That circlip goes all the way around. Underneath that is a plate with a big coil spring. We really don't want to disturb any of that. We can do that, we can remove it without disturbing it. So I'm just going to open up that circlip just enough, so there we go, just enough so I can give it the lock a bit of a wiggle. Okay, give it a little wiggle, and if we get lucky, the outside handle, this part here, will actually pop down. I'm going to give it a little bit of a pull while I do it as well. There we go, there we go. I think we got it. The circlip has now gone up, so it's still expanded, and as you can see here, it's starting to separate away from the lock. So I'm just wiggling it, getting it out using a flat blade screwdriver. Okay, there we go. Circlip just popped, so we know we're coming out now. Now here's the trick to the whole scenario. I had to basically get this out. That's where the circlip lines up. Once I widen the circlip, I got it to this top ridge, I was able to wiggle this out, and then it wiggles out and then comes out like this, because you can see how it's got that, it's round and it's got this leg here. There's normally enough grease in it to keep it all together. So from here, what we do is we pick up these two pieces and we just put them on the bench together, just like that. Okay, because that can slide and get out of alignment and all the rest. Now, there's only three pins in the back half, and there's 5 pins in the front half. And don't listen to anyone who says that doing a change combo you can just simply change the outside cylinder by 2 pins. That's the most bodgiest thing I've ever heard. You don't want to do that. You want to change all 5 pins in the front and all 3 pins in the back. I know it's easier not to have to pull the back apart, but it's not really that challenging, as you just saw. So you just undo the back, start with the back, and we've got some pre-cuts which we've just cut up. I think it was, I forget what card it was, 339 I think it is. Somebody can correct me on the Silka card for this type of key. I'm just using a flat blade screwdriver now, and this is one of those few locks where everything's flat blade. It's because it's a really old lock. Okay, let's put my 2 cylinder screws there, removing my brass bit. if it wants to come off. It's been a while since this lock has been apart. Jeez, it doesn't want to come out. There we go. Don't want to break it because parts are not available. Okay, so that's now the cylinder is apart. I'm going to be using a follower which looks like this, if you can see it. Okay, so it's just a hollow follower, 12mm with a bit of a groove down the back. And I'm going to grab the customer's key now, pop it in, give it a turn to the 3 o'clock position. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my follower on, expand it so it's around that part there. Okay, give it a slight turn and just make sure my follower's in position. You can use bits of shim too and use a standard follower. I just do it this way. Okay, so that's out, that's out. There's my 3 pins, and somebody's really filed this down. That's okay. Very common in an old lock like this. Okay, so I take up one of my new keys now, and I've done a... what have we done here? Alright, so we're on that side. Okay, here we go. Alright. I've cut a YA1R. So there's the standard key here is a YA1E, which is this profile here. I'll show you the key profile as you can see it. Okay, so YA1E is the standard one, not 1R, so it's just a waste of a key blank. Let's drop some pins in here now and check. Okay, so that's a 4, that's good. That's a 2, that's good. And another 4. So I didn't have to do any filing on this, which is perfect, because I cut my keys to code. So that is now ready to go back in. Before we do that, we're going to drop the top pins and we're going to check them. So I'm going to use a standard follower, come through. I'm going to grab my tweezers and I'm just going to drop whatever's in there. Alright, so 424 is our combination. So 4 is not huge, but I'd probably want a corresponding like a 4. And then for the 2, I would probably want like a 6 and then another 4, because we are limited in stack height here. So you can actually just use top pins. So I'm just going to use a couple of number 3s and a number 6. Just putting fresh pins all the way through it because this thing is quite old. So I'm going to use a number 3 pin upside down with the point facing down, and I'm just going to drop that straight in the last chamber. This prevents what they call top pin blues, where if you rekey it and your pins are too high and your driver pins are too high, you can actually squash the pins above, and that can cause you problems later on down the track, or make the lock jam up, not work, all those sorts of things. So it's better off just doing it now, because you can see this handle really doesn't have a huge stack height in it. If you can see it from there, look at that. So that's where the plug is, and that's the top. So there's not a lot of stack height. So you really don't want to be squeezing your pins up in funny positions. Now I'm going to transfer from my standard follower to just my plastic follower. It does take time to do the inside. Look, I get it. It does take time, but it's fairly easy. Yale, definitely a necessity to have to do. Okay, there's a Yale key. Put the key in, and we're turning. We are a little bit clicky, so I'm just going to take that out, and I'm going to do a little modification just to make that a little bit more smooth. Okay, so I'm just going to look at it now, and everything looks okay. The 4s actually look a little bit shallow, but the 2s are good. So I'm going to drop in a couple of 5s and see if that makes all the difference, and I reckon it would. Because the plug is taken down a little bit, they should be fine. Okay, let's drop it back in and let's see what happens. Just trying to get my follower to conform to the shape, turning it on a bit of a 2 o'clock angle and sliding it back in. Oh, look at that, perfect, no resistance whatsoever, all the way around. Key comes out, key goes in. Okay, so for now, for my next trick, how to get this back on into the lock without disturbing it. Sure, no problem. So we put our little bit of brass back on the back of the cylinder, our little flat blade cam screws. You probably could upgrade them to the Phillips ones. I've never tried it. I just put back what I take out because I don't want any more problems. So I'm just putting that back in there now. There's one. And standard cam screw rules apply. Tighten as tight as best you can without stripping the head of the screw. Yeah, I'm glad they stopped using flathead. It would be so frustrating to still be using flathead these days. Alright, so that's tight. Okay, that's tight. Now, here's our part which we didn't disturb. That's going to go in there, just like so. So the way this lock works is that this when you put your key in, this round part here rotates right and rotates left. This little drive here goes up and it goes down. When it goes into all the way up position, it's free. When it goes in all the way down position, it locks the handle from turning. So that's why this little chunk at the back of the cylinder here drives everything. That's what drives this circle, which drives that, which then pushes back up to that. Okay, really straightforward. Now here's the trick. We want this plate right here, we don't want it to move. We want it to sit down, and we want to get this circlip straight over the top, and we want to do this without disturbing it. So the way I do this here, I can only do it, I'm going to put this in on an angle like this, capture that back drive. Okay, there's a fine art to it. There we go. Capturing it, putting it back down on the bench, grabbing my circlip pliers, and just squeezing as much as I can to capture that outside handle. Now pushing it down to make sure it clips in. Hear that? Clipped right in. Sliding it backwards and forwards to make sure it's in that groove, and it is in that groove. Spin it round, check it. Oh, that's because we don't have the bolt in there. So the spring is good that direction. We'll check it with our key. Handle is locked, so that is done. Now we put this greasy slide back in. So make sure nothing's in the way, slide everything out of the way, and in we go. Now it's just a matter of getting it all lining up. For some reason, I've got some sort of issue happening here. Has that dropped down? No, that's okay. Maybe that's what it is. It's been so long since I've done one of these, I left the little thingy forward. Yeah, that's it. So there's two little spring-loaded parts there, one of which I needed to push forward, and that's to work the dead latching function. Okay, now we're in. Now remember that first spring that goes behind that the dead latch? We're going to put that one in. Okay, so we put that one in, and then this one goes behind the actual main latch, just like so. Okay, let's test it. Yes, yes, and when that gets pushed in, that dead latches. Yes. Okay, and all the grease is still intact. That's the back half, and look at our hands already. I'm gonna get a hand wipe. I hate doing these greasy ones. Now they do take a little bit of time. I'm gonna wipe it down as well, because when I put it back on the door, all that grease is going to transfer onto the client's door. We don't want that. Okay, so here we go again, flat blade screwdriver. This circlip is different to some of the other ones, so we give this a little bit of a squeeze and it should squeeze out. So we squeeze that together like so, and then I'll use bigger pliers, and I should be able to push it out from the side. So this circlip come out from the side there. Oh, there it goes. Nice and easy. Okay, so that's the tailpiece removed. A different system to a lot of the others. Not that key. Where's his other key? Must be this one. Oh, not that one either. Alright. Oh no, it is that key. It's just a really bad copy. Right, let's get this plug out of there. Dump the pins. Give it a little clean. Okay, it's clean now. Alright, here's our key. So I think we're up to 5, so we're going to go 5, 2, and another 5, 1, 0, and then another 2, and what was the last one? I think another 2. Okay, so that's now done. Let's drop it in and see how it works. We don't have to check the stack height here because there's so much stack height room. Okay, and that's good. A little bit clicky, and that's just because of which one is it? There's wear in the plug, so the key kicks it up a lot further sometimes than what it really should. If you can see how worn out that is, pretty much, yeah, I'm going to get a file to it, give it a little bit more tolerance because I want the customer to feel like it's working all the time, not that it's not working all the time and getting stuck. So because that keyway is so widened now, I've got no choice. I'm going to lift the key all the way up and just give this a slight file. Now, a lot of people don't like doing this, I know, but I want the lock to feel good after I'm done. So I'm just going to give a slight rub. That's all I'm doing. And you can say what you like. Everybody does it. Every locksmith out there does it. They give things a file every now and again. When you're going to TAFE and you're in a locksmith school, everyone screams out that you're a butcher if you do that. But in the real world, people will say that you're a real good locksmith because when they feel the lock, they go, "Yeah, it works really good." So I like people to say that it works good rather than say that it doesn't. Alright, so that's that one done. Let's pop this tail piece back on. So you've got to hold it up, push it in, and just slide it back in there. Okay. Once it's slid all the way in, grab a screwdriver behind it and give it a little twist. That will expand it and make it pop out. Okay, keys in, working good. Check the back half all the way around, 360. Handle is locked. Put the key back in. 360 the other direction. Handle is not engaging. Oh, sorry, there we go. Hold back function, you turn the latch all the way, you push this little ball in, meaning that the thing's off. Then it's a simple matter of going back onto the door, locating this back nipple onto the backing plate, slipping it back down to flush, put the two flat blades in. Put your cylinder in first, and when you put the cylinder on the door, you'll notice it's got like a little round part it has to fit into with a little lunk, and they correspond with this part here. So you put your cylinder in, 2 screws, put your housing back on, 2 screws, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so that is recoding a Yale dead latch, which is probably 30 years old, and setting it to a new key the proper way. Okay, thanks for watching.